Hey guys, it's Peasant Tech, and this is my summary of Spider-Man No Way Home. There will be major spoilers, so be warned. The movie starts off where we left off in Spider-Man Far From Home. Mysterio had just revealed to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Peter freaks out, unsure of what to do, so he grabs MJ from a crowd and swings into a subway to avoid the mobs. During this, there are some who believe Spider-Man, but most believe Mysterio, frequently using the slogan, "Mysterio was right." Peter also gets green paint poured on his suit, ruining it. They go to Aunt May's place where she and Happy had just broken up. Peter tries to close all the windows and curtains to hide the media from Aunt May, but the news continues to play on the TV behind Peter. Then we meet Matt Murdock, who looks exactly the same as in the Netflix Daredevil series. Matt tells them the charges won't stick. At the end of the scene, a brick gets thrown through the window, and Matt catches it blindly, and proceeds to tell a joke about being a good lawyer. This is the only scene in the movie with Matt. Peter and the rest move to Happy's condo, which has some very high-end security. Peter returns to school where he's either treated like a hero or a criminal. Both sides record, stream, and generally invade Peter's privacy, hence he chills on the roof, in the scene we saw in the trailer. Peter, MJ, and Ned all wanted to go to MIT together, but due to recent controversies, all of them got rejected. Peter decides he has to fix his mess and goes to Doctor Strange for help. He first suggests time traveling, but Strange admits to not having the time stone anymore. Strange gets the idea of just getting everyone to forget Peter's identity. They go into the wizard's basement to perform the spell seen in the trailer, but before starting, Peter adds multiple people's names he wanted to remember. After 5 or 6 times, the spell goes haywire, but Doctor Strange seems to have contained it. Later in a conversation with Peter, Doctor Strange realizes Peter didn't ask MIT to reconsider before attempting to brainwash the entire universe. Peter calls Flash, who made it into MIT, and he gives the location of the person in charge, but only after making Peter agree to being his best friend. While Peter travels to the airport, he sees a massive traffic jam and checks the windows of every car until he sees her. Then Doc Ock attacks. During this fight, Doc has Peter pinned up against a pillar and tears off the nanotech on his chest. The nanotech quickly covers Doc Ock's tentacles, leaving Peter's chest exposed. Doc goes for a finishing blow, but the nanotech predict the move and shift from Peter's head to his chest. This reveals Peter's face, which leads to Doc Ock saying,
"You're not Peter Parker."
Because Doc's tentacles are now covered in the nanotech from Peter's suit, Peter's able to control them. He uses the tentacles to free himself and save the woman in charge of MIT admissions. She says Peter's a hero, and she'll do whatever she can to get him, Ned, and MJ into MIT. Then we see Green Goblin's signature pumpkin bomb. But before Peter had a chance to do anything, he and Doc Ock are transported into a prison cell under the Sanctum Sanctorum. Within Strange's magical prison, we see Lizard and Doc Ock. Strange explains that while he contained the original spell, it still summoned anyone who knew Peter's identity as Spider-Man, and some people got through before it was contained. He asks Peter to track them down and gives Peter a wrist device that transports anyone or anything into one of the magic cells. Ned and MJ join Peter in the Undercroft to assist searching for the Green Goblin. Ned finds a place that seems to be where the Green Goblin is. They communicate via a smartphone that is taped on Peter's black suit. The black suit is actually just Peter's suit inside out, as his suit is still stained with green paint. Peter actually finds Electro, and while battling, it looks like Peter's going to lose. But suddenly, Sandman appears and saves Peter. Together, they manage to control and capture Electro. Aunt May calls Peter, saying Norman Osborn has come to her work. Peter rushes to Feast, only to find out she's not in any danger. We find out Oscorp doesn't exist, so he came to Feast after seeing a sign of Spider-Man. Aunt May tells Peter he can do more, and that he should try helping them. He takes Norman back, but he doesn't trap him like the others. The villains converse and try to understand what has happened. Doctor Strange then shows up with the cube he says would send the villains back to their universe, and would promptly die fighting Spider-Man. Listening to Aunt May, Peter tries doing the right thing by stealing the cube. Strange takes the fight to the mirror dimension to have the home court advantage, but Peter uses his mastery of geometry to trap Strange. We later find out he was stuck over the Grand Canyon for 12 hours. Loki would be disappointed in him. He takes Strange's sling ring and gives the ring to Ned after returning. He gives the villains the choice of either getting cured and living or returning to their universes and dying. They all agree to go with him. Peter leaves the cube with MJ and tells her to press the button if she doesn't hear from him. Peter takes all the villains to Happy's condo except Lizard, who remains in the truck. MJ and Ned go to Ned's house. He uses Stark Tech and the help of Osborn, who delivered the iconic line,
"You know, I'm something of a scientist myself."
The new device gives Doc Ock control over his arms and is working on Electro. Just before taking an injection to cure him, Norman Osborn takes control, stops Electro's power-draining device, and all the villains escape. This leads to the big fight shown in the trailer. While escaping, Green Goblin throws a pumpkin bomb that Peter deflects in the last minute, but it's too late. The bomb knocks Aunt May down. While losing consciousness, May delivers Uncle Ben's line of,
"Remember, with great power comes great responsibility."
She dies in Peter's arms, and Peter has to escape to avoid being captured. Back at Ned's home, he says he wishes he could see Peter Parker. At first there were only sparks, but after a few tries, we see a silhouette of Spider-Man enter through the portal Ned made. He takes off his mask to reveal he's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. After trying again, he summons Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but he's not in his suit. They find Tom's Spider-Man on the roof of the school and decide to try his plan again. They make new cures in the school lab with some very entertaining banter. Afterwards, Tom calls J.J. Jameson to broadcast his challenge to the villains at the under-construction Statue of Liberty. While waiting for the villains, there are some very entertaining conversations between the Spider-Man, including about how the older Spider-Men have been struggling with back pains. The villains arrive. It's clear neither of the non-MCU Spider-Men can fight as a team, so Tom, who has fought in the Avengers, pulls their shit together and they put up a decent fight. MJ and Ned take Doctor Strange's cube and use a portal to go back to the science lab, but Ned can't close the portal. The lizard eventually finds them and Tom has to dive through the portal to save the two. They all return to the statue for the remainder of the fight. They work together as a team, and with Doc Ock's help, who turned on the villains, they manage to cure everyone but Green Goblin. Doctor Strange then shows up and takes the cube. The Green Goblin tosses a pumpkin bomb, which gets jammed inside the cube. The previously contained spell gets triggered again, and forces Doctor Strange to contain it. Tom faces Green Goblin alone and is about to kill him when Tobey stops him in the last second. While distracted saving his life, the Green Goblin stabs Tobey from behind, proving what a piece of shit he is, and why he's the most evil villain. Tom cures the Goblin, who immediately regrets his actions, but now Tom and Strange have to fix the spell that they're quickly losing control of. Tom tells Doctor Strange to cast the original spell to make everyone forget his existence without any exceptions. Doctor Strange is reluctant at first, but accepts. Tom says his goodbyes to everyone as the spell starts to happen. Tom, Tobey, and Andrew embrace in a hug, and Tom leaves to tell Ned and MJ his final goodbyes. MJ and Tom kiss, and everyone slowly disappears. First, the villains. Then Tobey tells Andrew a joke about the pain before they too disappear. And finally, his friends. The next scene we see Tom rehearsing his lines to remind MJ and Ned about their life together, but when he sees them, he can't bring himself to do it. We see him entering a cheap apartment and dropping a box with the GED book. This means even his teachers forgot about him, and he wouldn't be able to graduate. Later we see him swinging in a much more colorful red and blue spandex suit. The new suit is a lot more representative of the comic book Spider-Man suit. And in the last scene, we see him standing in front of Aunt May's grave with Happy. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.